Welcome to the On the Air podcast, a companion to On the Air magazine, a bi-monthly magazine from ARRL for beginner to intermediate ham radio operators. I'm your host and the editor of On the Air, Becky Schoenfeld, W1BXY. Every month, the On the Air podcast extends material found in On the Air magazine to help you learn about the many things that the ham radio hobby and service has to offer. The On the Air podcast is sponsored by ICOM for the love of ham radio. Welcome to the July 2025 episode. These days, a lot of people are talking about everyday carry, or EDC. The concept of everyday carry has been around forever. Simply put, it's just the stuff that you bring with you every day when you leave your home. For a lot of people, it's just as simple as phone, wallet, keys. For other people, it involves carrying some kind of bag. And we all have our things that we bring out into the world with us every day to help us face situations that we know we're going to encounter or we're concerned that we might encounter. Some folks carry a multi-tool, a lip balm, earphones, maybe a small flashlight, and it's personal to everybody who is out there. It's generally anything that has practical use in terms of what you might encounter during your day. And of course, if you're an amateur radio operator, you may want to make radio part of your everyday carry. There are certainly portable and handheld radios that make it easier to do that. And today we're joined by ARRL education specialist and the host of On the Air Live, ARRL's monthly live stream, Wayne Greene, KB4DSF, who has an article in the July-August 2025 issue of On the Air titled, Everyday Carry Your Handheld. So Wayne is here to talk more with us about how to carry radio with you everywhere you go. Welcome, Wayne.
Oh, thank you so much. Always a pleasure to be here with you.
Always a pleasure to have you. Thanks for being here. So, how long has radio been a part of your everyday carry? What led to you beginning to carry radio with you everywhere?
Yeah, that's actually a really good question. So, I originally got my license when I was a kid, so that was quite a while ago, and I remember getting my first handheld, or HT, right? And I was so happy to have that thing that it went with me everywhere. I was still in school, so I carried it around in school. And no, I didn't get beat up for that. So that was just something I did. But I've always been a fan of having a radio with me if I'm, away from my home or even, to be honest, even in my home. I usually have a handheld turn on somewhere in the house that's not in the same place where my normal shack is, just so I can continue to hear what is going on. But to be honest, the everyday carry that I'm practicing now, to where it's evolved to, really just started a few years ago. And it's when I realized that everyday carry really was more than just carrying your HT. Now, to be honest, it's not original to me. I'm not the originator of this kind of everyday carry. I saw other people doing this kind of everyday carry, and that's really what dawned on me that, hey, I really need to look at this differently. So it started a few years ago, probably, I don't know, 8 or 10 years, and it's a continually evolving project. By the way, you'll put together your first package, and then you realize, hey, maybe I need to add this, and then things kind of evolve. But yeah, so it's been a few years now, so not terribly long.
And was there a specific event or something that struck you at a certain time that led to you starting to everyday carry your radio, or did it just kind of happen organically from being involved with radio?
So we just finished up with the ARRL's field day, right? So it was several years ago at a field day event. That's where I saw the first person that I knew anyway that had an everyday carry, and it fascinated me. I was asking questions about why they selected the stuff they selected and how they got started. Kind of the same questions that you're asking me as well. as many of you know, I live in the far southeast corner of Georgia, right on the Atlantic coast. So we are we're in a hurricane prone area, right? So just meeting that person that has the everyday carry and knowing where I live, that really helped born the idea that I need to put together an everyday carry. And this is something I preach quite a bit, even in my own club. I run a monthly, well, no, it's a bi-monthly tech session, if you will. And we're actually going to be talking about everyday carry there, but won't be the first time I've talked about everyday carry. And I realized that would be, since we had been talking about HTs for the past, three episodes, it was a good time to bring up the fact that, hey, you should think about carrying a radio, and it's more than just carrying your HT. There's think it through, and there's more to it.
So how has carrying a radio helped you? Have there been specific situations where you thought, wow, it's a really good thing I have my everyday carry package on me?
So I've always enjoyed having the everyday carry package with me. And then, as you know, when you read the article, you see that I do it in pieces. There's two parts to it. So I'm kind of a modular thinking kind of guy. And again, I'm not the originator of this. I saw other people do this as well. And it's been neat to be able to at least be able to use that to experiment. Like, hey, I'm here. I've got the stuff with me that I can be able to do an APRS, send an APRS message to my wife's cell phone, right? And just be able to practice that. But as far as a specific event where it became super helpful, it was Hurricane Helene. Now, Hurricane Helene came through here. We were not supposed to get hit near as much as we were, but she took a turn to the right at the last minute, and there we were in the path. I'm not anywhere near going to argue that we had anything like what Western North Carolina had. That was a totally devastating thing that happened there. But we had our own event that happened here as well. We looked somewhat like we were in a war zone for a bit. Here at my home, we were without power for 36 hours. Again, that's nothing compared to what's going on in Western North Carolina. But along with that, we lost our repeater. Our repeater is on battery power, and there's no emergency backup there. And about 48 hours after the event, we lost the repeater. Being able to have my that everyday package, carry package with me, served well. I was able to use the roll-up J-pole that I have in there to make longer simplex shots. To be able to get a signal out or a communication out to someone, because we had plenty of hams, who were running around. I say that like that. It wasn't unprofessional at all, but they were out, helping out with getting damage reports and helping out with some of their coverage. So being able to stay in communication with them was helpful. But the other thing that was helpful was our digipeater was still running. That's not run by the club. We have one of our members who runs that privately, and that was still running. And being able to use that to be able to send APRS information back and forth to each other. But also, I was able to send text messages again to my wife's cell phone to let her know I was okay, where I am. And I was also able to at least send emails and again an APRS message to my own family who live outside of this area, and that served to be very helpful. Now, the next thing is it would have been nice if we had a VHF WinLink gateway here, and we don't have one yet. I'm in the process of working on that, but that would have really completed the package, if you will, for that particular event. So yeah, Hurricane Helene was something that really, it's very relevant, it just happened not too long ago, and that really solidified to me that having an EDC package of some sort is super helpful.
Yeah, certainly in terms of the hurricane. But earlier you mentioned that even when there wasn't a weather situation, that you might send an APRS message to your wife's phone. So it sounds like it's beneficial even every day. It gives you opportunities to practice using these methods of communication so that when you do need it in terms of a weather event, that your system works, you have a way to be in connection with people. So it sounds like even just sort of practicing on a daily or weekly basis is beneficial.
Yeah, if you don't mind me jumping in real quick. So the practice thing, absolutely. if you're out there carrying a radio and you're not practicing with it, then when you absolutely need it, you may find yourself in a situation where you can't remember how to do something. So I do practice. I do practice different things on a regular basis. But for a lot of people who may not know, so for APRS, the idea of being able to send messages via to a cell phone, like a text message to a cell phone or an email to someone, regardless of whether they're a ham radio operator. My wife is not a ham radio operator yet, but she's committed to change that though. So we'll work through that. But so that's not a new service. That's been around for a while, but a lot of people know that it went away, right? There were some things that happened. I'm not fully aware of the whole story, but for a while it went away. So there's a gentleman, and I really wish I could remember his name right now. His call sign is NA7Q, I believe. And if you go to his website, if you could just look up NA7Q in your favorite search engine, APRS, he has done some great work into bringing that back. And there's a process. You got to opt into the process. But thanks to him, we were able to get that service back. And again, crazy helpful when Helene went through. So I'm very thankful for the work that he did. I want to make sure that gets out.
So you ended up creating 2 everyday carry packages, one for short term and one for longer term, say 24 hours or longer. And in the article in the July-August 2025 issue of On the Air, you step us through your thinking behind creating each one of those packages. Can you step us through some of that now as to how you put together each of those packages?
Yeah, so again, it's a continually evolving process. I started with a larger single bag, if you will, and that had everything in it that I have in the 2 bags now, but it was a bit much for what I needed for, like, again, EDC, right? So there's I categorized EDC based on, am I going to be gone from the house for just a few hours, maybe less than a day or something, or it may be a situation where I'm not going to be separated from my pickup truck, because that was important as well, because I have a system set up in my pickup truck. I just have a 12-volt port adapter that has USB-C on there, and that's something else is important. I made sure that I chose radios that were rechargeable via USB-C, or in the case of the FT70, the Yaesu FT70, I use USB-C to the adapter that it requires, a 12-volt adapter that it requires to plug into it if I wanted to carry that. So I started there. What is actually every day for me? When I jump in my truck and I head out, I'm probably going to be out for a few minutes to several hours, and I'm going to be in a situation where I'm not necessarily going to be separated from my pickup truck. It's always going to be in a parking lot, somewhere where I can get to it, and then I can operate from my truck if I need to. So I built the first modular packet based on it. The radio I chose, I originally was using the FT70, and I had a Mobi-linked Bluetooth TNC adapter for it, so I could at least do APRS with that, or packet if we had a BBS service. That's something else I'm working on as well. I've now changed that to the VGC. It's the N76, I think it is. It has a Bluetooth KISS TNC built into it. The Bluetooth makes it just super convenient because it's not an additional cable, and it works really well. And I use APRS Droid, so I'm now announcing that I'm an Android user, but I use APRS Droid with that. So that is I start with that radio, what its capabilities are, knowing that I have access, right, to a really good digipeater here in our area. And then we have another one that is within this footprint that is just north of us as well, that I have access to. So I knew I wanted to be able to have APRS capability just in case I wanted to be able to send a message to, again, my wife's cell phone. And then what if I'm in a situation where where I need additional range, again, such as our repeater goes down because it's been on battery power for too long. The roll-up J-pole, being able to have that and to be able to get that extended to some height, just so I can get a longer simplex shot. So that became part of the package. I'm using right now the Ed Fong roll-up J-pole, but I've built my own as well. You can find places all over the internet on how to build one. I happen to have the Ed Fong. It's a little bit smaller, so I just use that one for now. I know there's the Faraday type J-pole out there, which looks super intriguing. But I wanted to be able to make a longer simplex shot if I need to, be able to recharge my my radio through the truck. I wasn't worried about having an additional battery pack or anything. That goes into the second package. So if I'm there with my truck, I have the truck's ability to be able to recharge my radio. So that's kind of where my thought process was for that. Of course, with the roll-up J-pole, you got to have a way of deploying that. So you need cordage and some way to be able to get that cordage into a tree or to be able to extend that in some way. So these are the thoughts, that evolving process. Anybody starts putting together an EDC, these are the kind of thought processes that you're going to go through. And at some point, you might have been carrying one for a couple of years and you realize, oh, wait a minute, I need this additional capability. But what you need to think about is, do I need it for my everyday, like normal, so a few hours or less EDC, or for longer? So for my longer package, I wanted to make sure I had an additional way of being able to charge my radio other than the truck, or if it's a situation where I know I'm going to be separated from my pickup truck, I wanted to make sure that I had some way of being able to recharge my radio on the go. And so I have, so I have a 40,000 milliamp hour cell phone battery charger pack that has USB-C and USB-A capability, and I can use that to recharge the battery. But I also added a DigiRig light into the package, and I also changed out the radio. The N76, that radio uses a K1 adapter rather than K2. So, and the DigiRig light uses K2. So I needed, or something for the Yaesu, right? So I needed to change the radio out. So I'm back to either using my FT70 or I have an FT60 that I can use with that. The nice thing with the DigiRig light, my thought process there is, maybe I want more than just APRS with the DigiRig light, or if you have the DigiRig mobile, that's fine as well. But with that, you have access to any data mode that's out there, as well as APRS. You still have APRS and packet. But if I needed to be able to do VARA WinLink, I've got that capability now. It all depends on where I am and what capabilities may be around me. And I wanted to have a second package for that kind of situation where I may have additional capabilities, but that I could access. And I wanted to make sure I had that equipment with me to access.
Okay, so it sounds like you're ready for a lot of different situations there. That's great. So because the name of this practice is everyday carry, you got to carry it. You have to have something to put it all in. And in the article in the July-August issue, you did give us some pictures of how this all comes together. And it looks like you've got some tidy little zipper packs there.
Right.
Yeah. So for the 24-hour or less package, I imagine, do you leave that in your car when you're out and about?
I do, yeah. So if I don't walk around, Home Depot with that on me or whatever. I know it's in my truck. If I need to get to it, it's in my truck. So all of that stays there. And by the way, if I do end up in a situation where, one, I'm either going to be separated from my truck, or I know I'm going to be gone for longer, it's not that I carry the second package only. I carry both. They work together. That's the modular piece. So yeah.
Yeah. So for the longer term everyday carry package, you said sometimes you're going to be separated from your vehicle with that one.
Right.
So what do you do in terms of carrying that?
So I have a couple of options. Each of these packets have D-rings on them and S-beaners. So if I need to be able to either attach them together and then attach them onto my, belt loop or something like that, I can do that. If it's a situation where I'm going to be away from my home for more than 24 hours, I'm likely going to have at least a backpack with me, because I'm going to have some other personal items I'm going to want to have with me as well. So they can either go inside the backpack or attach to the outside of the backpack. So most of the time in that situation, I'm going to have at least a backpack or a duffel bag or something, and they're small enough to be able to fit in there. But if I need to be in a situation where I'm not going to have that duffel bag or backpack on me at the moment, I still have the ability to be able to carry both of those packets in a way to where it's comfortable enough to do it. And that is one thing about EDC. And I saw this. I'm going to admit right now, I saw this on a YouTube show. But someone else was talking about this, and this was an issue of mine. If you make your initial package, if it's so large, you're going to forget the EDC part. You're just not going to carry it. Yeah. So, and again, I'm a modular kind of thinking kind of guy, and it really, that was kind of a wake up call for me too. So that's the reason why I went modular. So for the normal everyday thing, I've got the smaller package, and it's much easier to carry.
Great. Well, it sounds very well thought out. And again, sounds like you're ready for a lot of eventualities. So coming up on the next On the Air live stream on Tuesday, July 22nd, you're going to be talking some more about this. Is that right?
So I'm going to be talking about field portable operations, which is this plus, if you will. So, because I'm also going to talk about HF stuff. If you want to go field portable, when you think field portable, people automatically think of POTA or soda, right? That kind of thing. It doesn't have to be that. It can be anywhere that you're going to be. I do a lot of canoeing, especially with a good friend of mine, and we'll canoe to some place on one of the coastal rivers here, and just set up and just start transmitting. It may not be in a park. So field portable operations, there's a lot of things to think about there. What kind of power you're going to carry, what is going to be your band of choice. And honestly, yeah, EDC, what we're talking about here, can be a part of that as well. You put up a roll-up J-pole, set that on, .52, the simplex calling channel, and just start calling and see who all you can contact. So yeah, we're going to be talking about all of that.
Okay, so that's Tuesday, July 22nd. And if you're an ARRL member, you can register for that live stream for free at learn.arrl.org. And you can get on this live stream with Wayne and hear what he has to teach you about field portable. And because it's live, you can ask questions and bring your own concerns to the chat, and Wayne will help you out.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
Sure enough.
So, Wayne, thank you again for joining us today.
Again, my pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. And I hope you all have enjoyed this episode. We'll be back in August, but in the meantime, feel free to send comments about this podcast or On the Air magazine to ota@arrl.org. And if you're interested in learning more about ARRL and what it can do for you and how you can become a member, visit arrl.org. Until next time, I'm Becky Schoenfeld, W1BXY 73.